Asante sana Marian. Na tukirudi hapa jijini Nairobi ni kwamba kamati ya bunge kuhusu elimu inakutana na viongozi wa vyama vya wafanyikazi Uasu, Kusu na Kudheiha wanaowakilisha chuo kikuu cha Kiufundi ili kujadili maslahi ya wafanyikazi wa chuo hicho. Hebu tusikilize yanayoendelea kwa sasa.
So what are our grievances? So my third presentation, Honorable Chair and members, is what affects our members. Number one is the issue of pension. Our pension scheme, as I mentioned, was wound up. And the reason why it was wound up is because the employer did not remit between 2013 and 2024 July. They were not able to remit deductions from the employees, neither did they remit the employer's component. So they were taken to courts by RBA in 2017. And I want to refer you to Annexure 38 to 46. The petition by RBA to wind up the pension scheme because of being insolvent. During that period, Honorable Chair and members, the institution was represented in courts, largely by the legal officer, but the members of staff were never represented in court. They made promises for 7 years that they are going to pay. They made commitments. They never paid until the scheme was wound up. Finally. So Annexure 35 to 37 shows the correspondences between RBA and our employer, who is the sponsor. And this is specifically a notice of intention to wind up the Technical University of Kenya Staff Retirement Benefits Scheme. It is important, Honorable Chair and members, to note that since the inception of the pension scheme in 2013, there had never been a members' annual general meeting, except once in 2021, the AGM was held online. So we took it upon ourselves to invite the service providers on the 28th of February 2023, 10 years later, so that the service providers can explain to our members the status of the scheme and the benefits as members of the scheme. The invitation we made to the service providers is Annexure 47 to 50. There you can see the invitation of the university itself as the sponsor and the other service providers. This meeting was to happen on 9th of March 2023. But when the service providers gathered in TUK, the meeting was scuttled by the Office of the Vice Chancellor and the Chief Legal Officer. And therefore, as fate had it, our scheme was wound up on 5th of July 2024 as annexed on page 51 to 54. That's the court ruling that wound up our scheme. Other issues, Honorable Chair and members, is that Technical University of Kenya has not had a functional medical scheme for its members all these years. They failed to remit NHIF back then and SHA today. We had a medical scheme that could easily be abused, where you are told to go to hospital. When you are treated, you come and make claims. And that is why, as we speak today, outstanding claims to our members run to 49.5 million. That is a matter which has not been addressed to date by the employer. Promotions and translations at the university has stagnated for many years, affecting about 300 members of staff. A graduate assistant who attains a master's qualification should be translated to a tutorial fellow. That doesn't happen in TUK. You get a master's, you still remain as a graduate assistant. A tutorial fellow who gets a PhD should be translated to a lecturer. It doesn't happen. We have many of our colleagues who have PhDs and are still tutorial fellows. The employer claims they have no funds to do that. Our biggest challenge, Honorable Chair and members of the committee, is that we've been dealing with an unresponsive UMB and council. This is on page 5 of my presentation. We have engaged council and university management board since August 2012. And Chair, I'll invite you to look at the annexures 55 to 62. Our engagements with UMB and Council can be seen since 8th of August 2012. And if you look at that annexure signed by the principal then, before we became a university, we had already raised the issue of delayed loan remittance. 2012. And if you run through those correspondences, you will see the same story. Non-remittance to Mwalimu Sacco and commitment by the employer to correct. If I may draw your attention to page 58 of 158,